Hello and welcome to Late Night Driving, an automotive talk show hosted by yours truly, Tintin. Okay, jokes aside, I got a really bad quarantine haircut, which means I'm going to be stuck looking like a Boy Scout for the next 6 weeks. Anyway, my name's actually Noah Charalambus, and this here is my talk show. Let's get crack-a-lackin'. So unless you've been living under a rock for the past few months, which actually most of us have in quarantine, the press drives for Porsche's new 992 Series 911 Turbo came out, and they were disgusting, really. They were sickeningly positive. Sickeningly? Can you please just search that up just for me? Sickeningly, overwhelmingly positive, and I hate that. The worst comment I heard was, it's the ultimate everyday sports car, which is a stupid notion. Because if I had $500,000 to spend on a sports car, it wouldn't be on one. I'd be buying 7 cars with that money, one for every day of the week, which is how this conversation came about. 7 cars to buy for the price of a 911 Turbo. Let's get crack-a-lackin'. First up, I spent $130,000 hypothetical dollars on an Audi R8, in particular 2008 model, the one with the 6-speed open-gate manual transmission and the naturally aspirated V8 engine. Yes, I could have gone for the V10, but I think, I've got to whisper this, at the end of the day, when all's said and done, the V8 will go down in time as the best R8 model of all time. You heard it here first. And let's be real. Everyone wants to look like Tony Stark. And this is your car. Next up, I spent 75 G's on what I think to be the best BMW of all time, the BMW 1 Series M. Yes, the M1 supercar has that gorgeous shape, and the M3 CSL has that enthralling 3.2-litre engine. But the 1 Series M just better encapsulates what I think the brand stands for, which is semi-attainable ultimate driving dynamics. I mean, for your money, for your $70,000, you get a limited slip differential, 250 kilowatts, 6-speed manual gearbox, that gorgeous inline turbocharged engine, and that short wheelbase. And outrageous looks with the pumped arches. It's a cracking looking thing. It's a bit of a fighter of a car, but yeah, fantastic. One is definitely in the dream garage. Next up, I went for a 1991 Lancia Delta Integrale Evo for $90,000. Now, there seems to be this obsession nowadays with making turbocharged cars perform and feel like naturally aspirated units, which I just don't get. I mean, if I wanted an engine to feel like a naturally aspirated engine, I'd just buy a naturally aspirated car. But the Integrale is from an era in which turbocharged cars were unashamedly turbos. You know what I mean? You put your foot down and the throttle sends a letter to the turbocharger, which in turn takes several weeks to wake up and give you the boost that you want. You put your foot down, nothing, then you hit 4,000 RPM and you're kicked in the back of the head with a cyclone. Is that even possible? It's a Lancia, so there's going to be some issues, no doubt. But yeah, big fan. Big fan. I love the way the car looks. I love the boxy style. I love the period perfect wheels, the laggy engine, and that interior is those seats, stunning. Not stunning, but attractive in a non-mechaphilic sort of way. My fourth car is a 1962 Ford Thunderbird. Now, you can spend less money than I did on one of these. I chose this one in particular because it's pristine and because it has white wall tires, which is a lot of money to spend on white wall tires, but on this car, perfect. And the Thunderbird isn't the quickest car, not the most dynamic. It's not even the best classic car out there, but it's, in terms of a feel-good machine, it's almost unparalleled. You go cruising on a Sunday down some canyons, not some canyons, but you go down cruising on the weekend in this car and nothing else will compete. Next up, I chose an Alfa Romeo 4C Launch Edition for around $80,000. Now, I kind of hate myself for this because I think the Alfa brand is a bit, overrated. But I just couldn't look past the 4C's looks. It's a stunning thing. But the rest of the car, crapola, everything. The gearbox is a bit shoddy. The interior quality is, disgusting. The engine is from a Giulietta hatchback, and sorry to propagate the stereotype, but if I was driving this car, I'd always be a little bit worried about whether I'd actually make it home. But it's gorgeous. And so for this car in particular, I just park it in my living room and just stare at it and have a moment. Not in that way. Next up, for $35,000, I chose a Subaru Forester TS. Objectively speaking, I should have gone for a hottened up Impreza. But I've got a thing for quirky cars. My inner Doug DeMuro just popped out. And the thing about the TS is that it's not actually that good of a car. It looks horrendous, and it's matched with an equally horrid CVT gearbox. And it's not particularly quick. 0 to 100 takes 7.5 seconds. But it's quirky. You know what I mean? It's a Forester that was breathed on by STI. Full disclaimer, STI is an abbreviation for Subaru's sports division, not the strain of sexually transmitted diseases. Forester, herpes edition. The cool thing is it's not just a standard Forester either with a bit of stickers. It's actually got a fair bit of kit involved in it. I've written it down because I've got a terrible memory. So the TS came with STI springs, front sway bar bushes, flexible strut tower brace, Brembo brakes, rear subframe support. And I have no idea what half of this stuff is, but it sounds serious. And the fact that they only made or only brought 300 to Australia, I just thought, why not? My 7th and final car is a 2017 Ford Focus RS for around $38,000. What I love about this car is the fact that it's a modern day Integrale. It's and more than that, it's something that I wouldn't be afraid to drive every day. You know what I mean? If I had the Integrale, I'd be a bit worried about reliability. It is a Lancia. But this, you could thrash it and not have any worries. I mean, well, actually, that's not true. It's a Ford, so who knows what could go down. But it matters not. It's a hot Focus, and who doesn't love a hot Focus? We all know the headline details at this point. 257 kilowatts, 440 newton meters of torque, all-wheel drive, drift mode, manual. Hoonigan and me approves. And it's made even cooler by the fact that Ford recently announced that they're not going to make another hot Focus, well, an RS branded Focus. So if you ask me, buy one now because it's going to be a future classic in, 20 years. Financial advice. Well, there you go. 7 cars to buy instead of a 911 Turbo. Do you agree? Disagree? Let me know in the comments. We'll meet for a tea party or a fist fight. Either or. Have a great day. Like, subscribe, all that sort of jazz. I'll catch you next time.
What makes it late night driving? What makes it late? It's literally it's actually not late.
Late night driving. The only late show filmed in broad daylight. What do you want? Mid-afternoon show.